Okay, well, welcome everyone. Got a few updates to share this morning, this afternoon, this evening, primarily on the status of the NFT marketplace, which I'm sure is at the front of everyone's minds. There may be another few things to talk about the general direction of ARC, but I'm joined by George, who has been helping out the development team lately. I think a big part of releasing a product is that it needs to be idiot proofed, and that's where George comes in, being a very valuable resource, helping to, I guess, just use the platform, create things, remove things, make sure it's all working as one would expect. So maybe we can start there. Do you think? You want to share some of the overnight for me, some of the developments in terms of progress towards that public launch announcement for the marketplace?
Yeah, well, thank you, Nick, for such a generous introduction. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Nick is right. I've been sort of in the background a little bit more than I would normally. A part of that is down to do with Ryan's absence. Obviously, he got ill for probably 2.5 weeks, and then tried miserably to come back, and forgot he was ex-Air Force, so he then had to bail again for another couple of weeks. But with all sort of seriousness, he was struggling. You could tell when he came back, and we sort of had a chat with him, and we decided that would do more damage to himself and everything than good. So again, so sort of obviously with Ryan stepping out, I've stepped in to sort of assist in that sort of predicament, and like Nick sort of kindly said, look at it from a user's perspective as well. Obviously, the developers have their sort of blinkers on, and they very much concentrate in the code base. So it's important to have that sort of logic and UX flow. And I've been working with a lot of the developers and Henry, hand in hand with Henry, to make sure that we can deliver this product sometime in the near future. So just to get straight into it, we are probably the best analogy would be a loading bar stuck on 99%. We thought we had it. We thought we had it done. And when I say 99%, I'm talking about something that is bug free from the get go. We're not talking about just get it out like we did. But I'll touch on that shortly with reference to the launch on the 31st of May. But it's just a few minor back end and front end marrying themselves up to make sure it's all seamless. The smart contract's been deployed, works, no issues with that whatsoever. It is just that sort of motion between the front and back end. With the guys are working good sort of 16-hour days, trying to get it and update it and push it. But what I've said to them as a way of an update is that I said, look, we've messed up so many times giving these hard deadlines that you would possibly be able to do in other circumstances, and we keep falling foul. So what I've just said to them is that, look, we're not going to give the community as much as it pains us to not be able to give anything concrete. Just get it done, get it ready when it's ready, and let's not rush it, because the market's in its own specific state, and it would be better to release something that is of a quality standards. So that's where we're at the moment. It is. I appreciate it's incredibly frustrating for all of you waiting, although you can actually see it and interact with it. So that is one thing. But on the other hand, it is embarrassing for us that we released something that we thought was clear and that broke. And we're well aware of the deficiencies there, and therefore, when we do make this song and dance about it, we need to make sure it's ready. We're in touch with all of our partners, StarCard and a few others who have been incredibly understanding. This has also given them some chance to sort of sort out some issues that have crept up their end, little niggly development issues also that everyone has in this space. So it's given them a little bit of breathing space. But they are sort of poised, finger on the trigger, ready to go. So that's kind of where we're at. It's the reason there hasn't been many updates on Twitter is because there's not a great deal to update from the launch on the 31st. If we're completely honest, it's one of those ones where we're right up to the moment of point. Nick's ready, finger on the trigger, everyone's up, everything's ready to go. Whether it's marketing or the developers are standing by, and then QA process, something comes up. Go back, fix that, back to the drawing board, and that's happened about 6 or 7 times to date. So, apologies for these dragged out delays, but I think you'll all probably here agree that it'll be worth 2, 3, 4, 5 days, whatever it happens to be in the end, that we release it on time at the right time of day, with some form of marketing, small amount of marketing, sort of advertising and some of the things that Nick can spin his way, without throwing huge amounts of budget at something we're quite clearly in a bear market. There's people are talking about recessions and mass amounts of inflation. So we will be marketing it, but we'll be very tactful about the way we market it, and it will be a long drawn out process. So that's kind of where we're at from the marketplace perspective. Nick, do you want me to touch on the 31st if we're addressing all the elephants in the room?
Might as well. Although it is a good point that you raised about the state of the market. I believe we've mentioned it before, but some of the NFT projects themselves, as with most people in this space, are at the very least a little unsure or uncertain, even about their own launches and releases. The wisdom or perhaps lack thereof of launching right now, whether it makes more sense to wait out a week or two to see where the market's going. Not that I'm have any claims of being a trader at all. Don't know if it would be better or worse, but it's certainly the feeling I get from talking to some of these projects. So that is, I guess, a relevant point to consider. But that's a good idea. We should talk about the 31st, I guess.
So to wind back, it was the 29th, 30th of May, around that sort of time, and we were gearing up, ready for the launch. We know we were on about the 4th or 5th timeline that we'd given, and we were acutely aware that we may well have to miss another one. We all agreed, TJ included, that it would be, if the marketplace wasn't ready, we would just have to bite the bullet and not deploy it, regardless of how much FUD that created and how much disappointment and how much abuse and all that sort of stuff. But we thought that we're not going to release a broken product. So went ahead, did all the QA testing on the fake URL the substituted URL that was live. It was live for about a week, and we got to the stage, QA process, morning of the 31st, it was working. Made a decision to push live. Just before we pushed live, we had a couple of issues creep up. Solved those issues, and we battled with those issues right the way through to about, I think it was 3 minutes to midnight Hawaii time, something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, that's the one.
And it was I was up. It was my call. It was working at that stage. We made this switch to the new URL, unbeknownst to us, that there was hard-coded URL parameters in the code that then threw huge swathes of the site out. Thus the embarrassing launch. To a degree, the site's up, it's there. So part of the thought process, to be completely honest, was the fact that we wanted to actually give you something. We've shown you videos, we've shown you screenshots, but we've done such a bad job of estimating the timeline to delivery that it was, as far as I was concerned, well, it was working. As far as we were concerned, we were pushing something. Although we would have liked to have had a little bit longer with the URL swap. It was in production for a week, had been tested, security, we were happy. And so that's kind of where we are, guys, with what happened. It's not ideal. The lessons we've learned are these hard dates that you pluck out of the air in the near future based on what the developers think they might encounter during their process. Is just really a recipe for disaster. And I'm sure the developers and people who've been in the space long enough will almost be confused as to why we're probably giving hard dates. So that's kind of where we are. The lessons we've learned is that we will make sure everything is good to go, developed even live, and then we will spin up our marketing. I mean, we have been saying it for a little while now, but we've come to the realization in the background why it's another reason why it's been so quiet, that we've been working through a few things sort of at that sort of C-suite level of management as to forcibly making sure that these sorts of errors don't change. So that's kind of where we are, Nick, from the launch of there first. I mean, you were asleep at the time, so it was you woke up to it.
You sure? I don't know. It all blurs together. Anyway, we do have a question regarding roadmap about other products. I think it's safe to say that almost the entirety of the development resources focused on getting the marketplace out right now. And there's, what do we got, like 1 or 2 people maybe looking into some of the maintenance type tasks, right? So the connectivity issue from yesterday, there's like a mobile issue as well. But yeah, as a result, other products that are not so revenue critical likely to be pushed out, and the appropriate dates for launching them will need to be determined once NFT Marketplace is out of the way, because obviously as that continues to be pushed along, there's like a flow-on effect. And yeah, we'll be able to provide an updated roadmap once this marketplace is out.
To answer that question in a bit more detail, Nick, it seems that the entire roadmap has been sacrificed to the NFT marketplace for the last 2 months. Okay, so one of the lessons we've learned is trying to develop sort of multi-directional products, or alongside each other, is incredibly difficult to do. It's incredibly difficult to do, and as you'll see that from our roadmap, the NFT marketplace has taken up so much of a huge amount of our time. But it's highlighted that we need to develop one product, get it properly functioning and out the door, and then move on to the next sequentially, as opposed to trying to do these things all at the same time. Look at the swaps. We've had a few issues with the swaps. It's a good product, but it's not what you'd call a polished product. But it's not finished. So the whole point is that we're rewinding ourselves, and we're concentrating on delivering a product to the standard it should be, and then we move to the next. So to touch on what Nick said, there's a couple of front end guys who are working on a couple of the swaps issues that we have, that we've got, but all in all, we're looking to concentrate on delivering quality over volume. And yes, the roadmap has been taken out off the site, because it will need to be completely revamped, and we'll need to work out what products we actually want to concentrate on and focus on, and what we're not going to focus on, and what will be rearranged. So yes.
All right, and then next question we've got up here is regarding the size of the development team. So is it smaller or larger than the last few months? I think I can probably start off by referencing a tweet which hasn't been expanded on yet, but perhaps we can do that now, regarding the reorganization of the project and the development team in particular, to essentially prepare for the release of the generator. And that's probably what I was going to say about your point, George, in that it's important that the existing products are looking as good as they can be, because there are projects who are interested in making use of of the generator, and obviously the way that the existing Arc products perform, or again lack thereof, is a reflection of the project overall. So when we have some other company looking to potentially make use of a generator in the future, they would naturally want to be reassured of the quality of the product, and as a result, it's important that we devote some resources to making sure that the existing products we have are performing as well as they should be. But maybe you want to elaborate a bit, George, in terms of the size of the development team right now.
So, Justin, to answer your question, and then we will go back to Titus's question because we won't miss anything. So, Justin, to answer your question, in short, it's smaller. Again, with the large volume of developers, the amount of wasted time and wasted and confusion that's caused by having such a large team started to become apparent during some of the development, some of the calls. So what we've decided to do is essentially to keep the best developers on, and it's already working much smoother because they're already slightly more bought in. It's some of the junior ones, some of the ones that were, like with any workforce, you've got you have people who are better and seem more bought in than others, and we've kept those. And actually, what it's done with Henry sort of helping to sort of cohesively mold that group, it's becoming a lot faster, and their processes back and forth are much faster. So we're a lot happier with that. It's also a little bit more sensible if we're being completely transparent with a bear market. You're not shelling out sort of thousands and thousands on a large development workforce when actually the smaller development workforce are more efficient. So it's a side effect, a pleasant side effect. So I hope that answers that question.
Before we go back to the acquisition question, maybe it makes sense to kind of round off the development topic. The latest comment being referring to a team of 30 to 40, and I don't think that that forecast is likely to happen anytime soon, right, George? Certainly a big part of that would be the power of the generator once it's up and running, removing the need to have like a large team of developers to brute force their way through code. So
yeah, I mean, that if the 30 to 40 is in relation to a comment that was made a while back, then yes, that was a comment made when we were, it was a fair amount of time. It is okay, thanks. A long time ago, I believe it was made when the viewpoint would be that they would have large groups of, or the groups of developers working in silos on different products. It's not cost effective at this stage. We're all aware of that. It won't happen. But mainly, like Nick said, is because of this. It will be called the reactor. That's Henry's a generator, smart contract generator, that will actually allow us to force multiply the work that we would need from development and just to sort of titivate those products. And like you said, we're building up a really sort of tight-knit group of developers. I mean, trying to get anyone on the same wage to up their hours by about 4 or 5 hours every day, and to work weekends with extra without even having to ask. So we've really got an amazing core of developers now. It's just it's for us being able to spec out these products in an order that makes sense to the community and get them running out and starting to, like you said, some of these comments, not worry about hitting specific deadlines, but more importantly, delivering quality product, which is what we know we have fallen shy of recently. So
maybe at this point we can loop back before we forget about that acquisition topic. I'm not actually too sure what we're talking about here, unless it's reference to using the generator to kind of acquire and incorporate code from that's open source. But do you know, George, are we talking about some other kind of acquisition here?
Titus, can you just mention a comment underneath, just because planned acquisitions, I don't know what you're specifically talking to there. So whilst he's doing that, if he does manage to get to that, I said TJ's mentioned planned acquisitions a couple of times for sort of thing. So nothing that I don't think is to materialize into anything, especially with the current state of the market and the condition. There are probably more important things to consider. But again, if TJ does hop in, I'm sure he'll answer that question.
It could be in reference to term acquisition in user acquisitions. That could be. I know that has been mentioned in the past, which really just means getting users to use the products. So if that's what it is, then the pivot towards that is going to happen once the marketplace is out, and a little bit of work has been done on these existing products like swaps to ensure they're at the stage where they'll appeal to like a wider audience.
Right. Okay. Apologies. I read that as an acquisition, as in of another product.
Yeah, I did too, but I'm pretty sure that's what it means. Anyway, maybe we'll get an explainer on that shortly. But
in the Henry Herman news, there's a couple of weeks, but the hooligan question. As far as
I always remember it being a few weeks away. Anyway, I had like a month or so in my mind, a month or two maybe, but I'm sure that date would have been pushed out since he's been helping to get this marketplace over the line.
Yeah, no, he's been pulled off of the generator 100% to focus and to use all of his expertise to help get the generator finished as quickly as possible in the most efficient manner. So it's been put on pause. The moment this is all out running, obviously the shift of development will move on. He'll still keep a hand in with the development, but he will then be able to go back and focus on the generator. What about the CTO post? I don't know what that's referring to.
I think it's referring to the role of CTO. I guess to a certain extent, what could you say, that Henry kind of remains the acting CTO? We certainly haven't taken on a replacement as of yet.
No. If that's what that means. Why is there no traditional beta testing happening with the products? Would clearly help define. That's all well and good when you're at the stage where you can do, but we need to make sure that we have all of the basics covered off first before that is open. But you also got to remember that even swaps is an alpha version which you test and use all the time. So and also the volume of people reporting the same bug just takes a lot of time to sort of hash through. Less of a formal environment, it just exists as it is at the moment, but we need to sort of, especially with the marketplace, needs to be at a stage where it can be released. Human user acquisition, cool.
I think going forward, we've decided to have this audio AMA once a week, regardless of the progress in the background, right, George? Yes. And whether there's really anything of note to share, we'll have a chat regardless. And
I think where we've probably fallen foul, Nick, or what in my head is, I'm thinking there's nothing to update the community, but actually what you forget is that there are these questions that they ask that you may not have even considered, that they aren't privy to. So I'll be honest, when you get your blinkers on, you're trying to develop a product that I've seen the last sort of month or so, you do very much get caught up in that process, that day-to-day slog, working around the clock, and it's very easy to sort of get wrapped up in that. So we will do this every week, even if it's just a case of like, come on, have a whinge, ask the questions, and not have a whinge, but you know what I mean. Sort of the Git, obviously the weekly update in Gitbook was behind by about 4 weeks. Wasn't helped by Ryan's absence, but myself and Nick will be taking that on now. Marcy's away, so that'll be updated. So and there's also patch notes in Gitbook as well, so it's worth having a look there. You'll be able to see the specific technicalities of what will be released in the different sort of versions. So that hopefully answers Sarcasm's answer there about the good or bad, and hopefully gives some form of an explanation, if not an excuse, but as to why. Perhaps we tell folks on our other service who are waiting for every marketplace up and running, tell them if folks work on it. Yeah, perhaps. I mean, again, it's not an easy thing to do. We've got Jasper, who's in dealing with these communities, as myself today. I spoke to two different partners who are waiting on us, and it's frustrating. It's a little bit embarrassing. You feel a little bit guilty that you've said something and it hasn't materialized. We just try and keep them as much in the loop as possible, and explain to them that the moment that it's good and stable and live, they will be the first people to know about that. So they can then sort of obviously get all their ducks in a row, and then we can sort of go down that sort of co-marketing avenue that so many of them want to do with us. So Nick, I mean, have you got anything to add to that? Anything you would say?
I think you've got it pretty much spot on there. Yeah, nothing really to add other than it is really just a bit of a waiting game at the moment for these projects, and yeah, I'm honestly surprised at the resilience. Obviously, a couple of them are understandably frustrated, but in general, also considering the wider state of the market, I think having the ability to talk to a marketplace and get assistance with co-marketing is becoming even more valuable now than it ever was. So, yeah, these projects are willing to wait if it means availing themselves of that opportunity.
But also, they get to have a slightly more personalized approach. It is a cheaper version, and there is that element, like you said before, Nick, that I've spoke to some, and there was that element of nervousness about just the overall state of the market and how much impact they'd have anyway. Not that that's any reason for them not to launch, but it's definitely one thing that's one other reason we can sort of use to sort of make sure that we get everything sorted out in time.
Mm-hmm. There's a question about
yes, about the alpha. Is that the one you're looking at?
Yeah, just reading that.
I mean,
Short of like
question, it is on the page.
pop-up.
Short of a pop-up menu. I mean, Arksan, do you want to hop up on the stage and have a chat, or are you happy to?
Well, I think the question is,
I mean, how obvious do you want to make that? How obvious do you want to make? It says alpha at the bottom left-hand corner, isn't it? I mean,
I guess. Well, no one's going to see that, right? I guess is the point is whether there's a pop-up to say that it's in the development process. I mean, it's not a bad idea. Something we could consider.
Yeah.
I think my point was just more that if someone is wanting to base the growth of their project and use the generator as the foundation, they want to be confident that it works, and therefore that confidence will be helped by seeing other products that Arc has built that also work, and hence the need to dedicate some resource to ensuring that's the case. I think we've got a question that's kind of been answered already in terms of listing OpenSea listed NFTs that would come out in, well, certainly a later phase. It won't be in the initial release, but it is something that is being worked on. I suppose you could say half complete, and it will be quite a useful functionality, I think, even though the transaction in that case will be filled on OpenSea. It just helps to suppose make the Arc NFT marketplace more of a kind of complete one-stop shop solution, so that people can come to Arc and view and then click through to purchase stuff that's available on OpenSea as well as the Arc marketplace. So I really think that's a great feature that the developers are working on.
Do you want to answer the swap volume question, Nick, with regards to the sort of paid advertising routes and how that affects what you're looking to do with sort of data points on that?
I don't know if that's the question, but in terms of swap volume, we're talking like transactions, right? How much people are swapping. Do you have that? We were talking about that user data last night.
That's what I was talking about, and to that massive spike in it with the.
Oh yeah.
That's why I was going with that.
Yeah,
I wasn't trying to sort of steer a question to where I wanted it to go.
That's a relevant point because we did test and get some ads up. The Google ads, and then on the Meta platform, so Facebook and Instagram. That was probably towards the end of May, I guess, in anticipation of the marketplace launching. We just went through and set them up and got them running to make sure they passed all the various filters, which can sometimes be a bit touchy when it comes to the crypto world. Certainly you can't run these kind of ads for DeFi, but for some reason NFTs are more than okay. So that's certainly one benefit of the marketplace, the greater ease of advertising it. And we saw some pretty good results actually, and it led to kind of a spike of people clicking through to check out the project. So that's quite promising. And once the marketplace is out, to be able to kind of hit that with a decent volume of ads will be great, because they're obviously very cost effective when you compare to kind of crypto specific assets, influencers and the like, who usually charge quite a significant premium.
So Nick, to give you some figures, the click-through rate from the 11th of May to today, the click-through rate on NFT Marketplace is 23,223 views to clicks, which is 36.9% of the full total of clicks in that period for us. So obviously that only tells you they've clicked on the advert, they've gone to the site, you then got scroll time and all these other sorts of parameters that I'm not going to sit here and read out. That a less corporate answer for us, dummies, how many swaps a day? So we can measure when they click swap. That's right, isn't it, Nick? Because it's kind of your area of expertise, but
yeah, that's right. The Google Analytics is set up to record when people click swap.
Yeah. I am just seeing if I've got that data here.
I think it's under like an event or something.
Yeah, that's why I'm under events now here. So swaps completed.
I believe it was around that 100 or so a day mark. It certainly drops off as the market, the wider market drops off, as you'd expect.
Yeah, it's got page views 62,000. Oh, that's event count. 3,700 users. 2,466. 742 users. That's what I've got for that period. So yeah, way down on what it was when we were January, February sort of time. But then look at the market. So hopefully that answers your question, Justin. What you should do? Logan's here. He's pretty good. I forgot to ask him, but he's pretty good at doing it. This was set in stone for our procedures. I'm sure Logan's recording it. He's just checking to make sure it's recording now. So yeah, it should be. Hopefully, it's worked. Products, so crypto. Back to the question here about marketplace. So the plan will be, and it was touched on earlier about the impossible investors and all this sort of stuff. We are looking to hide some features of the site that are, let's be all, completely useless at this stage. Pools will be removed, as will some other products at this stage. We haven't finalized exactly which ones, and we are going to hone in our concentration and make the products we've got into those revenue streams that are sort of completely transparent, are obvious to see, and they're decent products. So when, like Nick said, when people come onto the site, they look at that and they go, that's brilliant, that's brilliant, that's brilliant. It doesn't have to be everything, and then as opposed to trying to develop everything all at once, like we've tried to do, and have things in these sorts of broken formats, it just paints a negative sentiment. So that will be happening over the next sort of probably a couple of weeks at the latest, because we do want to sort of tidy up that area of the site. And when the marketplace is out, then we will focus on swaps to make sure that is functioning as it should be. And then we've also got the products like revenue share and all the other products in the roadmap. And we will concentrate on the ones that have the most impact, to give us the best USP and will work best for the product. So we haven't decided the specific order, but we will concentrate on what we've got before we try and develop anything new. So obviously Henry's got the reactor to work on, but we also have the existing functions, what people know us for. So yeah, hopefully that answers that question. What are you two doing to keep your mental state and enthusiasm so high? Keeping Nick out of the group calls, probably. That's probably a good one.
It would help. Is that why we haven't been having calls lately?
Yeah, we have been having calls lately, mate. You just weren't aware. It is being recorded. The AMA is being recorded. Sorry for that slight confusion there. Got the limit orders coming to swaps. Again, to reiterate back to the point, we'll make sure that swaps functions superbly and perfectly, or as close to perfect as it physically could be, before we start adding any updates to it and any sort of developments onto it. But the whole concept of what we're doing, guys, is exactly the same. We're just trying to slow things down and learn from our mistakes and concentrate on the areas that we can then all brag about. Because nothing worse bragging about something and then you turn up to the site and it's broken or it's offline or mobile compatibility doesn't work. It's just it's less than ideal. So yes, we'll start to come back on ourselves before we start to then develop much more, apart from the reactor, which obviously Henry will go back to developing.
And yeah, upcoming roadmaps and release dates is going to be on a kind of a quarterly basis, as you'd probably be familiar with seeing from other projects. Is the way we're going to go forwards with this.
When we'll update the roadmap, it will be one of the first things that's done. The moment the marketplace is out, and then we go into that sort of sales mode where, sort of Nick is drumming up with Jasper and some other people that the partnerships with NFT projects, and we start to build some form of sort of solid new users to the site. That's when we will go back through all the products. We're going to go back through everything that we've delivered, what we did well, what we did wrong, or what we could do better at, and then we will come up with a way more realistic set of events that will be obviously grouped to quarters of the year only, to give us a little bit of wiggle room, but also something that's realistic. He says, yes, eventually. It'll all come eventually. And the depot so fast, even before launch date and after migration to Arc, is slowed down? Was this because first products were easier to build than current ones, or that the capacity has gone down? Very good question. Yeah, essentially, yes. A farm is quite an easy thing to reproduce. The swaps element was in development for months and months and months, so that wasn't something that was developed that quickly. So, is that what you were referring to, the sort of the farms element?
Yeah, I think that's the point, right? And that
Yeah.
the NFT marketplace is obviously a different league to that in terms of the
Ah,
complexity,
yeah,
let
massive.
alone adding in the features that we don't see on others, like the lazy minting, the bulk upload, and
Yes.
that.
Yeah, it's a completely different beast. But we'll reap the rewards of the effort put in. So, you know, um, it will be worth it. Ooh, kick us all the way down. I think depot from a depot perspective, I think it was we'd be in the same place, wouldn't we? Let's be honest. If we were in the same place now, it would have been. It's just the fact that rebrand almost pinched that era off of. I mean, you forget that's where the theft that whole sort of theft came, but yeah, it's purely out of coincidence. But you learn from your mistakes, and we will get stronger from this. So thanks for the dig there, sarcasm. Appreciated. The little lull at the end of it.
Cheeky.
Very cheeky. What's your confidence level in partners bringing new use to the platform once the NFT marketplace is ready? Nick, do you want to answer this? Okay, first of all, Hooligan, I'm going to answer the top line with Nick, and I'm going to throw Nick under the bus again. Don't worry, see how quickly you think I was fit. Because we had a conversation the other day, Nick and I, about this. And Nick, in fact, Nick, I'm going to talk for you because it's easier than, because you may not remember exactly what I was talking about. So Nick and I were discussing the whole sort of NFT marketplace, and people who are in the NFT mindset might have only ever bought, say, Ethereum in a wallet just to make a transaction of an NFT. And I think now you can buy them through credit cards a lot of the time. I think the point, Nick, you made to me was that actually we have this assumption that they understand the whole DeFi process and swaps and all different chains, whereas actually they might not. So to answer that top line of the question, I actually think that they might be the people that are just solely interested in NFTs, but if they are the people that sort of become inquisitive, like most people in this space, the natural sort of evolution for them will be to maneuver themselves around our site and to see sort of what else is on offer. So I actually think that with the NFT marketplace, you're going to have all these communities introduced to us, and a lot of these communities, even the ones that aren't solely NFT degens, will have had some experience. And actually, if they can do what they can do on Uniswap and other areas, all on our site, I think that bodes quite well. I'm not saying every single partner we'll speak to, they'll all come across in droves, but it would make sense that a few of them would come over and that we'd start to get a little bit more of a higher churn rate with, with sort of new users. What do you reckon, Nick?
Yeah, exactly. It's essentially a sales funnel, right? So you start off with people who are going to perhaps use the marketplace to mint a specific NFT for the project that's launching with us, and that might be it, right? But then there'll be a subset out of all those people who continue to use the marketplace to purchase those and other NFTs. And then within that, there'll be an additional subset that would perhaps go on to use the other products. So if we're talking about in terms of users who would use the entire suite of ARC products, it's naturally going to be a proportion of the people who kind of get interested through the partners. Another point is that I think the extra functionality from phase 2 will help a lot with the retention. So the acquisition that will come through these partners launching with ARC, minting with ARC, is likely to be higher, but we'll be able to retain these people as longer term users of the marketplace, and then a proportion of them for the other products a lot easier once phase 2 is out, because that gives a lot more functionality that people are expecting from a marketplace. In terms of an exact number, there's really no number to share at this point. I wouldn't want to do that. So once it's out and we have some volume running through the site, we'll be able to share that information.
Hooligan, to answer the second part of your question, yes, he did throw that number out. I think what he was alluding to is the volume of people who would be exposed to ARC. And yes, if you add up all the communities, yes, these people might be, but they also might not be. They might be part-time users. So you've got to take these things with a pinch of salt. We will try our best to steer away from dangling these sorts of accidental carrots in front of you, because we will try and convert every single user, but we need to be realistic. And like you said, even if we can convert a couple of percent, that would be very useful. So yeah, we're sort of buoyantly optimistic about getting it, but we just got to get to that start line, and that's why I'm aging sort of a year a day at the moment. But it'll all be worth it in the end. Was there negative responses from announced partners on the marketplace being delayed? Has it caused anyone to move already in this next round? Blah 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 blah. Believe it or not, like Nick said earlier, I would have bet on more. Honestly, I would have bet on more. But actually, Jasper's been really good at keeping in touch with all of the projects, as has Nick, working in the background.
Nah, it's Jasper.
But it's not. It's sort of team members. If we've got technical updates, Jacob will step into these group chats we've got. I'll liaise with them as well. We all have calls. We all try and keep them in the loop as to what's going on. They can hear the frustration in our voices. They know it's nearly there. And like, for example, they can see, that they exist on the site. So it's not, they know we're close. So yeah, it's one of those ones where you just want to scream at the developers, but actually they're doing everything in their power to get this done, and they are probably the most frustrated people out of everyone, us, yourselves. So actually what we're doing is we're just giving them the space they need to do what they need to do, and we're seeing that bear more fruit already. So yeah.
Most important question is, how's the weather?
Yes, Justin, I had like a squall come through earlier. It was very calm, and then maybe gale force winds, and now it's calm again. So yeah, strange UK weather. What's the plan for adding Sol? Everyone's obsessed with Sol. Is this because of sort of like Steppen that uses Sol and BSC? Sol NFTs. I see a lot of memes about Sol NFTs about being basically poor people compared to Ethereum NFTs, but yeah, I'm having massive dramas with the Sol network. On I can't send from Phantom Wallet. I can't send from KuCoin. So bit of a weird one, Sol. People seem to love it though. So again, all these things, all these things are way down the line, guys. If I'm honest. So from that standpoint, we're not going to sit here and tell you, yeah, we'll have that in a month's time. We're learning our lessons from this. So, but the current theme is, or the existing theme remains. There's nothing we won't look at, but we will look at it under its own merit. And yes, you will all be a part of that process as well. Some of the messages, all of the support tickets. We hear you. We still hear you. Even if we have to sort of park the idea. There is a place in our CRM software where we have all the ideas, and they get funneled into that. Some are wildly sort of out there, and some that we've already considered already. But we make sure we sort of drag them all across. So we sort of we do capture that, because many minds are greater than just a few. So and a lot of you have got loads of experience in this space, so we're more than happy to sort of to hear what you have to say. Yes, I did. I bought mine on Sol. I didn't even realise you could do it on BSC at the start, so more for me. Nick, we've covered I wrote down 3 points: NFT marketplace, future products and roadmap, and the streamlining of people, which we covered with the developers and the products as well, about narrowing down those. The reactor, and there's another point I mentioned as part of the roadmap. There's nothing I've got. So have you got anything to mention, Nick, specifically, or is it just open to the community to unload, continuing unload?
No, I think those are the most relevant topics, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
certainly been some good questions coming through. So thanks for that, everyone. We've been going 51 minutes already. Wow, that's pretty good going. But
no, they won't. Rado, they won't influence. They won't influence tokenomics at this stage. The reason, one of the reasons for that is that if you are looking for some form of investment, if we'd have to unlock those tokens anyway to then lock them back up if we did do that. But also that's attractive for potential partners and investors in the future. So we'll play that one by ear. We will not be flooding the market with ARC tokens, and we can always do that. We can always relock them, but they are on a set timer, so they will just unlock themselves. But that's also something for us to sort of manage at the time.
Yeah, it's what, 3+ months away before it even starts. So it's not even a consideration right now.
No. So I wouldn't worry too much about that one. But like I said, you'll see it all. Tell Jasper he owes me 20k. Right. Okay. Well, best. Jesus, that's quite a lot of money.
20k what though? Yeah.
I hope it's ARC tokens. I hope it's not pounds. Oh, okay. Yeah, sarcasm. To sum up, it will be ready soon. If you'd asked me 3 days ago, I would have probably said it would have been live and we would be going through that process now of onboarding. But we've had a couple more delays. So yeah, exactly. So you asked the question. Soon it is. Any more questions, guys? Like I said, we will do this. Nick, you good for Wednesday next week?
Yeah, it should be all right.
And we'll do this again, guys. Keep an eye on the Gitbook for the weekly updates. We'll go on there, and the patch notes that Jacob's doing, putting a lot more time in to those sort of those technical areas. And if you've got any questions, again, like I said, we'll be spending less time on the sort of Telegrams and Discords. I will be anyway because of the development process. You can always ping me as a DM if it's urgent. Someone asked me, someone got hold of me on Twitter, and someone got hold of me on Discord the other day just to ask questions. I always try and respond to them if they're sort of direct to me, and I'm sure Nick will do the same. But if not, then we'll just do this every week.
And make sure you grab the airdrop and verified holders. I think there's 5 minutes or so to run on that still.
Nice. Good, Nick, yeah. Dilute that pool, Nick. Mention it one more time. I think Bionic has got... I don't know who that is. I don't recognise that name, so we'll wait for that question and then we'll wrap it up. Yes. Logan, over to you, however you post that, if that's okay with you, Logan. I think he puts it in Discord, isn't it? Oh God, I'm sounding so old.
We'll get that sorted. But in any case, we'll have another one around the same time next week.
Yeah. So Thanks for your patience, guys. Those of you who are sitting patiently staring at candles and stuff. We will try to do a better job we will do a better job of updating you, like I said, and worst case, you'll have an AMA once a week. You can jump up and call us all the names of the sun, or we'll ask the questions you don't want to ask, and we'll make sure we answer all of them. So yeah, so Nick, thank you very much for spending the time with me. It's always a pleasure.
Anytime, George. Looking forward to next week already.
Yes. Well, hopefully we'll have some more positive news as opposed to just going back on ourselves. So, yes,
sounds like a plan. All right,
awesome.
chat then.
Thanks very much, guys.